When working in SOLIDWORKS PDM, it is critical to check in your files periodically and not leave them checked out for too long. Let's talk about why. Here we have a file that has been stored in the vault, and it is archived into the server where other users can access it. Let's say a user needs to make changes to one of those files, so they perform the checkout operation. What's happening in the background when the user does the checkout command is that a working copy is created and is transferred over to that user's machine. While the user has the file checked out, nobody else can edit the file. So it's going to say plainly right near the file name that someone has this file checked out. Sarah, for example, has the file checked out. This will prevent people from overwriting each other's work, and it prevents people from being able to make any changes to something that you're actively working on. Right? The user can save the file locally while they have the file checked out. So think the classic floppy disk icon, the save button in SOLIDWORKS or in a Microsoft Office product. This is a great way to save incremental changes so that if you close the application or if you reboot your computer, you can continue working on the file that you had checked out and pick up those locally saved changes where you left off. However, the changes that are made locally only exist on this machine and are not transferred to the rest of the PDM system in any way until the check-in operation has been executed. Okay, so when those changes are complete, the user would then check the file into the vault using the check-in command. This is going to update the vault archives with another copy or version of this file. Adds right in line with all of the other times that the file has been checked in. You can always go back and revert to previous versions from previous check-ins. Okay, so this is a great way to keep that incremental change history of every time that the file is checked into the central PDM server. Now, let's say the file is checked out and then a user has it out for editing for an extended amount of time. Let's say they work on the file for days or weeks or even months. And this could be a large SOLIDWORKS assembly. It could be a report or some other kind of Excel document. But after weeks or months, you can imagine the amount of time and effort that would have gone into working on some kind of engineering document like that. Now, every once in a while, something like this happens, an unexpected crash or catastrophic failure that prevents the computer from turning on or prevents it from connecting to a server. Basically, the data on that machine is lost. And what happens is that if we can't transfer those files, if we can't check the files back into the vault, then the PDM system will never know what those locally modified changes were. Okay? So it is really important to check in the files periodically so that the PDM archives are updated. Because how this can help you is that users can always restore to previously checked in versions. If the files are checked in, every day or so, then if you have some kind of unexpected failure, you're only ever losing a maximum of 1 day's work, right? So generally, a rule of thumb is that if you've made a significant change that would be devastating to lose, make sure you check that in, okay? Maybe it's only been 1 or 2 hours of work, but you solved a really complex modeling challenge in your SOLIDWORKS file, and it would be really difficult to redo that work, okay? So check in early, check in often. And also, if you're concerned that by checking in the file that someone else might come and take ownership over it, and you want to continue working on the same file, there's an option in the PDM check-in window to keep file checked out. That means that right as soon as it is checked into PDM, in that same moment, you are checking it back out again, and you continue to have ownership over it so you can continue to make changes. But you can think of this like an incremental save into the vault. That way you could always get back to that last checked in state.